All right, Bubba. Here's everybody. Everybody must know what's going on. You nailed it. You said every time the market goes up, keep hitting the sell side. You did that. Trump's now saying we might have a deal with Iran he's going to see the next 10 days. And gold right back to 5,000 an ounce. So looks like you nailed it again here, Bubba.
Well, I mean, again, we're in a position in the market that there is a lack of participation. We're certainly have a greater chance to break to the downside than the upside. I mean, again, just look at the numbers. It's, I'm not a fundamental guy, but when PE ratios, the average PE ratio is over 40, that's too high. We can't support that. There's not enough money to support that. So there's a reason. You've got too much market value compared to the M2 money supply. That's the decision. Metals, they're churning. They're in consolidation, and they're going to be there for a while. And the truth of the matter is anybody who owns the precious metals wants this kind of action because it only means the next rally is going to be much bigger and stronger. The way that they got carried away a few weeks ago, the inevitable sell-off, hard sell-off was going to come. And when you get a market that goes parabolically higher, it can only come down hard. So it's always better to stair-step your way up. And that's where we should see some consolidation. And as long as the metals stay in a consolidating fashion, the next up move is going to be bigger than the last one. But you have to let it go because you can't get everybody in at one time. When the boat gets too loaded on one side, it's usually going to sink.
Yeah, but we look at the captain side of things in the boat. I love that analogy. But let's be honest. I mean, the market really hasn't moved a whole lot. It just seems that people there's this malaise. I was at the grocery store last night, and people just didn't seem to be in a good mood. It just seems that people just are unfreaking happy. Am I right or wrong about this?
I think you're 100% right. I mean, I was talking to somebody this morning, and we were talking about kids and grandchildren and money and, and what to do with it. And I said, listen, we're in the fortunate part of the K, okay, because we have the money, but most people don't. More than 95% of the population is struggling, okay? Prices are too high. They got a big break earlier on oil, and now oil is going higher, obviously, because of the conflict in the Middle East. But people are not happy because they don't have any money, okay? And they have to continue to borrow money. And unfortunately, they are borrowing. They are spreading their debt out farther, and it's a problem. And again, yes, have we had a big move? No. Again, we go back to, when I first started trading, the Dow was 800. Now the Dow moves 800 points in a day. But if you look at the percentage moves, we haven't gone anywhere. We're still really, the equities, as bearish as I could be, okay? They're still in consolidation. They're not telling us that they're ready to break down. And I warn everybody out there, if you are bearish, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with saying that there's a lot of negative out there, which there is. But there's time to get short. You'll have plenty of time to make decisions that you want to make. Don't try to be the first person in line that says we're going to go down, because the markets have given no indication of a major breakdown yet. We have seen no indication that we're going down more than a couple of percentage points. There will be a time, and I do think it's coming sooner rather than later, but I'm not massively short here in this market. I'm not selling anything to prepare for it. I'll trade it to either side, but I do have a lean to the downside. I think there's a good chance we break the S&P consolidation band to the bottom. But until then, why should I get too aggressive in this market? The markets are still headed towards the upside, even with the selling we're seeing today. We're still on the bottom end. We're still on support. So why would I think that they're going to break down today?
Yeah, and I just looked at the debt level. Adults, if you want to call them that, aged 18 to 29, carry around $20,000 in total debt on the average, including student loans, credit cards, auto loans, and early mortgages. And of course, that we're not even seeing mortgages that much, right? That's $1.05 trillion in debt just for those between the ages of 18 to 29 starting out. They're the ones supposed to be doing the smart things, right? Taking care of us in the old age.
Well, unfortunately, even us in the old age, a lot of people, a lot of our contemporaries, a lot of people that are around our age are struggling with too much debt as well. We live in a by the month society, okay, and everybody looks at how much they can afford by the month. But what they never factor into the equation is the inflation that is higher, the loss of job, which is becoming very real for a lot of Americans. They're going to lose their job, and the job that they're going to lose is not coming back. Okay. AI, if you love it, great. But AI at this point in time is going to hurt more people than it helps because of the amount of job loss we are going to realize from the AI boom. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's technology. But unfortunately, a big portion of the population will not be able to benefit financially from the AI that's going on right now.
All right, and the biggest question of the day right now just hit the president's desk. He was asked if whether or not he understands if there are aliens or not. Trump says he does not know whether aliens are real or not. I mean, the world's falling apart, and the biggest question that we all have is about aliens. I think they're real, Todd. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Don't care. Getting back to debt, the participation in student borrowing has increased dramatically over decades. In 1992, only 15% of households headed by someone the age of 25 to 39 had student debt. By 2022, that's now 41%, and today it's over 60%.
Well, what does that tell you? It tells you that universities and colleges are overpriced. It tells you that they have taken a dramatic advantage of the fact that a lot of jobs, whether you need college or not, that you have to have college, right? Now, I didn't go to college, but, I remember my sisters went to college and their tuition was $1,000 a year, okay? Jesus. You can't do that now. My daughter, I put my daughter through college. Her tuition was $50,000 a year. So you can't expect people not to have debt because, of course, universities can continue to raise prices and raise prices. And of course, they make nothing but money, yet the student doesn't get the benefit. I mean, do you understand how much money Ohio State, Michigan, and the Big Ten makes from all the TV deals and all the sports? But yet they don't pass that money on to the student. They pass it on through NIL now to the athlete. Okay, so you've got college students, college athletes making $8-9 million a year playing sports in college. That is not the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, you're telling me the wrong person. I think that was wrong to begin with. And I'll tell you, if you got a degree from Michigan or Michigan State, they're worthless anyway because I went to Illinois. Just kidding.
They're making money at Illinois too. Look, at the end of the day, Pat Fitzgerald, who was the coach of Northwestern, played at Northwestern, had this idea to unionize college sports years ago. And had they done the right thing, okay, then everybody would get a stipend, okay, and be able to go to college and have a small living and be able to at least live on their expenses instead of having the same big separation we have in the population. There's those way on the top, and there's a lot more underneath it that can't afford to live and eat.
And small schools are hurting over that too. It just sucks. Yeah, getting killed. All right, let's get to it. Outside of aliens, I guess is this the biggest question?
I'm an alien.
Yeah, me too. I feel like I'm an alien sometimes too. All right, Todd. I asked you on Tuesday where you thought the markets were going to be in the summertime. You said lower than they are now, the S&P. So far, you're on the right side of that track. Give me the reasons. Give me the reasons behind it, and just how bad is it going to be? Is it going to be like a massive pullback, a medium-sized pullback? Are you worried? I know you're always hedged. I get that, but when I look at other people's portfolios that aren't hedged, that don't know how to hedge, or they're just trading, not investing. They shouldn't be doing that, but they do.
Let me put it this way, Big B. I think, and I've been wrong for a year. So again, I think there's a 40 to 60% haircut coming. Now, I don't think it'll be here by summer, but I would not be at all shocked if by summertime we were down 10 to 12% from where we are now. I think there's way too much debt. I think there's way too much government debt, way too much personal debt. I think the banks are over leveraged. They won't admit to it. And of course, they keep passing that moronic stress test that we put out there. But again, when you look at the banking system, which was the cause of the last major meltdown, when you can borrow money from the Federal Reserve and take that debt, which is a liability, turn it into an asset, and then lend out 10 times that amount, there's massive defaults going on right now, Big B. There are massive housing defaults, massive car loan defaults going on right now, but nobody cares. Nobody's paying attention. But at some point, people are going to have to pay attention. And of course, when it starts to affect you, they say the old story, right? When your neighbor loses his job, it's a recession. When you lose your job, it's a depression.
Yeah.
The amount of debt in this country today the amount of credit card companies allowing you to force that farther and push it farther is only going to make this into a bigger meltdown than it is. And I think it's going to start with, we will see some bank failures or the talk of bank failures. I think the Fed's going to get involved again, which is stupid. I mean, the Fed is not a good organization. The Fed does not do what their actual mandate is. They benefit the banking system, which is not correct. Because again, wouldn't you love to be in a business that you could take as much risk as you want, make a fortune, but if you go bad and your business goes bad, you got the American taxpayer or the Federal Reserve bailing you out.
Too big to fail. Okay. Thinking about that side of the Fed, Kashkari had a lot to say this morning, saying that the dual mandate, he was concerned about the AI side of things. He was concerned about the numbers, and he was concerned about data. He didn't know if he wanted to have AI in the data of his stuff. Kashkari hates crypto. Kashkari, I mean, he went on a rant this morning, right?
Well, he's not exactly, he's kind of what he is. So
say it.
He's a moron. That's
yeah.
I mean, he's got a big mouth. He's always had a big mouth, and he says nothing. Okay, and he doesn't have any logic or anything, any supporting information behind what he says. Okay,
yeah.
And that's, I think, honestly, a lot of these guys are obviously brilliant people from a book standpoint, but of course, the Federal Reserve is still using the same tools they used in 1913, the same year the Model T was built. Well, look at cars and look at what the Fed does. Okay, but Jerome Powell, I'm going to go to him for a minute, because Jerome Powell was from our industry. When he became the Fed chair, he was from a common sense, free market guy. And the minute he became the head of the Federal Reserve, he became an instant moron and became an instant, we can print all the money we want. And this goes back to the Greenspan era. He is the original bubble builder and the original debt builder that we can continue to kick the can down the road. Well, at some point, the road ends. And I think we're getting very near that point of the road ending to all this not free money.
And is the road ending in summer? I mean, is that what's what I'm trying to get you to say it. I mean, are you worried about some kind of crash coming on?
I am. Yes. I'm 100%. I'm always worried about a crash because, again, you cannot continue to service these massive amounts of debt. I'm waiting to hear, Big B, I'm waiting to hear somebody come out and say the banks are safe and sound, everything is great. Okay. Just as Paulson did in September of 2008, when he came out with an announcement and said everything was great, just like Secretary Lamont did in 1929 and said everything is safe and sound. Okay. I'm waiting for those announcements. This is like the old days when we used to read the USA Today. When it finally hit the headline, that was the top or the bottom of the market.
Jim Cramer, Lehman Brothers. We can say it all the time, right? I mean, it is interesting you say Lamont. I'm reading 1929 again by Andrew Sorkin, and a lot of the things that happened then are happening again.
Yeah.
Right. Where the president's ignoring Wall Street's clamoring. He says the market's going to go to 100,000 by the end of his term. The same thing. I mean, it could end up being the next Herbert Hoover, right? Trump Hoover.
Hey, listen, we very well could be. Listen, I started the Dow was 800. It's 50,000 now. Okay. Yeah. The numbers are meaningless because at the end of the day, when the Dow was 800, the people lived a hell of a lot better than they live today. Okay. Mm-hmm. The money that you
I wouldn't say they live better. I mean, we have better quality food, better quality air, better quality water, better homes.
But people were able to spend more. They were able to have one family member had to work. Yes, they didn't have to have a dual family. Now a family, if both partners don't work, they can't survive. Okay?
And they have to have two jobs. I saw the numbers, the highest time ever in history when everybody has to have two jobs or more to keep it together. That's crazy.
So the valuation and what they've done to the currency, the biggest mistake is obviously going off the gold standard. That was a Nixon deal. Okay. And of course that was to create the whole mess that we have right now, because let's face it, the fiat currency system is the biggest garbage that there is. It's the most manipulated, crooked system that you can possibly have, because it just relates right back into the cabal or the cartel of the central banking system, who the central banking system has been screwing in England since the 1600s. Okay. So you can say what you want, but we have no need for a central banking system. Woodrow Wilson it was either in on it or got screwed. And I've said this on these airways before, and I'll say it again. He was either in on it or he got conned into it. But if you look at who heads the Fed, look at J.P. Morgan. Look at what they did in the railroad industry in the 1800s. How much stealing did they do then? Okay.
A lot.
This is not me opinion. This is fact.
Right.
Okay. So again, I see no need for a Federal Reserve. I see no need for someone to manipulate interest rates. I think that interest rate market, like any other asset, will price itself based on price discovery. And if you can't afford it, then you shouldn't buy it.
Any sector you like, though?
Excuse me?
Any sector that you like to the upside?
A sector? I mean, I don't like anything special like this. I think tech is still the place to go if you're going to look for something. I mean, I just bought Amazon today.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
I bought more Amazon today. Yeah.
I bought it. I do like the crypto world. I think stocks like Coin and those got ripped so hard. I'm a buyer there. I'm an owner and a buyer there. Okay.
Even with Elizabeth Warren saying that cryptos will
Pocahontas, whatever she said. This is the problem with politicians in general. Okay, they have no idea what they're talking about, and believe me, she's got plenty of money. She can talk all her game all she wants.
She didn't have it when she came in. She's a teacher. I don't know how she has
it
now.
But she got it now. And Bernie Sanders, who never worked a day in his life, he's got plenty of money now with his 6 houses. But look, at the end of the day, okay, we need to have the free market structure, which we used to have at some point. It's gotten worse and worse every year. We have too much intervention, okay, which is why the truth of the matter is we need to get to term limits to get rid of the crap and let's go back again. I know we're in an industrial age and now we're in the AI world, but when the farmers ran the country, okay, they'd come in for their 1 or 2 terms and go back to the farm, and you didn't have all of this graft and theft going out through the political system. It didn't pay to be in office for 50 years. We need to get rid of that so that we can get fresh and new blood continuing to flow, coming in with new ideas and working on the system, because what we got now ain't working.
It's my biggest concern and my biggest gripe.
Going broke. So
I'm with you on that. So, back in the day, the stock market was where small companies went to get money so that they could grow to be big. And those days are gone, right? And that's why it started, right? So that we would have cash to invest in companies to grow, right? To grow the company.
And that's how they started paying dividends. So you could get money and loan a company money, and the higher the risk company, the more the dividend they pay. Look, we have a lot of problems in this country because we allow these things happen. And of course, the biggest offenders are Meta, Google, Apple. They went to the government and said, we want you to regulate us. Because why? Not because we want regulations, because we want to prevent any competition from coming in to fight us again.
Well, that's what Mark is worried about now with his lawsuit right now against him, right? And they've made it so where you can't get out of the ecosystem, and
they destroyed free enterprise. There will not be another Steve Jobs starting in his
there'll always be another Steve Jobs. There'll always be another. I think there will be.
I happen to disagree. I think it's too cost prohibitive for what they've done.
Oh, that's true. It's not easy to start a company. Trust me, I'm the first one to say that, right?
But there you go. But again, you're building a company, you're raising money, and you're building a business through information. Okay. Right. I'm talking about a guy that starts in his garage, a startup without the ability to have the technology. Yeah. I don't think it happens again. Look, I hope I'm wrong. I don't want to be right. I don't want to be negative. I'm a happy guy.
Yeah, okay? We all are. Yeah.
And I listen to Lou Rawls every morning. Someday you're going to get old, right?
But Tyler, the thing is, you're kind of just spewing the way you feel like, right? And I like that. There's no filter. I love that. That's what we believe in, no filter here, right?
I worry about my kids, Steve. I want my kids and my grandchildren. And listen, nothing's going to change my life from this point forward. Okay, I'm going to live the way I live. I live good. I'm happy. I can go through things. But you know what? Future generations are going to pay for all the bullshit that goes on now, and I'm not happy about that. Okay, right. I don't like our whole political landscape. Okay, it doesn't matter what side you're on. I don't care. I'm a libertarian. I'm in the middle. And you do at home, you do at your home. But physically, government should be responsible. They're not. Okay, and why is it? We have to pay massive property taxes for land that we own. I own my own land. Why am I paying the government massive property taxes? Okay, I don't in Nevada, But
I feel the same way. I own my house. Why am I paying you for my own house again?
Right.
I understand. Well, it's for education. I understand that. I don't want to live in a society that's not educated.
Better I don't pay property tax and I pay for my kids' education. I'd rather do that.
Yeah, I agree.
And because our education system, that's a whole nother book of worms.
And that I'll stop you on time. I love it. I love this.
Our kids don't learn anything. They learn how to take the next test. Okay. So again, trust me, my kids went to, at the time, the number 1 and number 2 high school in Deerfield, Illinois.
Yeah, I remember those
They didn't
days.
learn anything. They learned how to take the next test so they could get higher scores, so they could get more money to go to college and party there.
And I still enjoy my parties in my college. All right, Todd from great city of Las Vegas, Nevada. Thanks. We'll see you next here on Tuesday. All right, Bubba's Quiz Market Live. Thanks for watching.
Big beat on the street. Let's go. I'll see you later, brother.
All right, my man.